it's time to talk culture on France 24. Welcome to Encore. We've got a musical lineup for you today coming up. She's a smoky-voiced, London-born Tamil diva, mixing a compelling concoction of English songwriting and the sounds of the Asian subcontinent. Sushila Raman joins me on set to talk about her new album, the aptly named Queen Between. Plus, meet the nun turned R&B star. Sister Christina says she's got a gift from God and she hasn't been afraid to share it. The 25-year-old appeared on popular talent show The Voice, stunning judges with her angelic singing. And ever wondered what kind of music cavemen listened to? We check out a concert using prehistoric stones that have been silent for some 8,000 years. All that and more coming up, but first let's go meet our guest. So Sheila, welcome to the show. Great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So you're currently on tour and you've just released your 6th album, Queen Between. Now your music really defies definition. You can't really put it into any definitive genre. You merge different musical styles from classical Indian to folk, blues, rock. Does that explain the album's name? Are you the Queen Between?
Well, the Queen Between could be me. It may not be me. She may be queen or she may not be queen. She's somebody who lives between worlds, is slightly ambiguous because she doesn't exactly conform to a category. Almost like a kind of a half man, half woman or something like that. But, there are a few different meanings. And one is like music, music being the threshold of, music having the ability to transport you to a different realm.
Now, talking about taking it to another realm,
Okay.
I read that you were actually inspired for this album after reading the book The Golden Bough.
Yes.
Can you explain a bit more about that? Is there a central theme to this album?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the lyrics were quite inspired by The Golden Bough, which is a book by James George Frazer. It was written in the late 1800s. And, it's a sort of very a study of magic and religion. And what's really great about it is it doesn't have too much analysis in it. So your imagination is really left free to kind of do its thing. So it's it's a lot to do with sort of inspired by stories and by ideas in Fraser. Yes.
All right, well, let's give our viewer a taster of the album now. This is one of the tracks off it. It's called Corn Maiden.
The days of work to be done out in the fields under the sun. Who could it be to pick the last one? To pick the last one. The corn maiden come. The corn maiden come. The corn maiden come. And now the corn maiden come. The corn maiden come.
You have such a distinctive voice, as we just heard there. You started singing at a very young age. You grew up, your parents wanted to hold on to their Tamil culture, so you grew up listening to Indian classical music. This album features collaborations with Indian and Pakistani musicians. Is your music a way for you to get in touch with your roots? Explore your heritage?
No, it's more like I'm very drawn to very psychically intense music, So I went to work in Pakistan with Sufi mystical music, Islamic mystic music, and so that was it's very intense music, so that sort of fuels my work, really, sort of travel and reaching out for something very psychically intense. And
how is it interpreted when you perform these kinds of songs that you reinterpret traditional classical songs in India, for example?
Well, it's been mixed. I mean, not so much at the moment because this album is completely in English, but previously I've had opinion is very polarized, actually. Some people really, really are pro it, and then some people are very, very against it.
I can imagine.
Yeah, especially with the religious work.
And
But,
it was really when you started to
Yeah.
work with guitarist, producer, and now your husband,
Yeah.
Sam Mills,
Yeah.
that you started to really fuse these different styles of music together. How much of an influence has Sam had on your music?
Oh, huge influence. Yeah, he's my hugest critic and and
And
you know,
fan, I would imagine.
yeah, I guess I'm his fan as well. Yeah, he's a huge influence. Like in terms of he's been one thing that's been really great. He's sort of allowed me to evolve as an artist, which has been really wonderful. From I've changed a lot. I change with every album, and I've changed so much from the last album to this one. And then he allows that change and supports that change,
Yeah.
which is really great.
Talking of changing
Yeah.
from album to
Yeah.
album, I
Yeah.
read a rather fantastic description you said about this album, saying that it was a psychedelic London post-rock psychedelia scorched by the deserts of Rajasthan. Can you explain a bit more what you mean by that?
So the Scorched by the Deserts of Rajasthan is to do with the band that I'm working with at the moment, and the band that I'll have on tour in Paris and London. And there's some really extraordinary guys from Rajasthan. So we've been working with them for 4 years. So that's the Rajasthan part, and it's very hot. Their sort of percussion is very full of heat. And the spiritual furnace of the Sufi Qawwals is actually just digging into, like being in that Sufi Islamic mystic world. The psychedelic part is, being into kind of the Doors and I think that something to do with probably the influence of the Golden Bough has kind of pushed it down a sort of more of a psychedelic route than previous albums before. So it's like psychedelia, but it's, mixing things up in a different way, yeah.
All right, well, I have a random question for
Okay,
you now. What do you think of music talent shows? Do you think they're a good platform for young artists?
I think they're really awful, and and I think they're just so bad for. I mean, because I think that if children kind of need to set, if children think that is the way that you make music, then
Yeah, all right.
I think
Well, love them or loathe them, music talent shows have propelled many singers to fame, and maybe this is one to watch out for. Judges on the Italian version of The Voice have described sister Christina Scuccia as singing like an angel. Aurore Dupuis meets the nun turned R&B star.
A nun turned R&B star. Sister Christina Scuccia says she's got a gift from God and that she wanted to share it with the Italian public. She appeared on a popular talent show and stunned judges as they discovered what they now call the voice of the angel. Sister Christina is 25 years old. She's a member of the Ursuline convent in Milan and says she's always loved singing.
I wasn't at all religious when I was younger. I was rebellious. My superiors themselves encouraged me to audition.
In Rome, home to the Vatican, the gifted nun received a lot of support.
I hope that with her voice, she'll bring a holy message from Jesus Christ.
If she felt it was the right thing to do, good for her. It shows we're just like everyone else.
Sister Christina's performance went viral on the internet, hitting more than 30 million views in just a week. Her dream that one day Pope Francis himself gives her a call.
So Sheila, your music borrows a lot from ancient musical traditions. Maybe this will give you a bit more inspiration. I don't think your music goes quite back as far as this, though. In a world first, history lovers in Paris have been treated to the same music as cavemen. Prehistoric instruments, known as lithophones, have been displayed in Paris's History Museum for a century. But it's only recently the ancient stones' musical properties were discovered, as Catherine Clifford explains.
Listening back to the music of cavemen, these ancient stones revealed their dulcet tones in concert after 8,000 years of silence. For a century, they lay in a museum, taken as pestles for grinding grain, until somebody noticed their musical potential.
My intuition told me that if we put it on two resting points, as one would with the violin string, and play on it, it would resonate. It's a typical example of a sound being played on a musical instrument.
After a decade of work, this concert is a world first. Professional percussionists carefully play 22 of the instruments, performing a musical tale at Paris's Natural History Museum.
It's an incredible opportunity to first of all discover these stones and then to be able to play on them and to put my interpretation as an artist on this new array of instruments.
We put them in order from the lowest to the highest sound so as to be able to organize our concert. These are stones that resonate, so they're musical stones or lithophones.
They were gathered a century ago in areas along a 2,500-kilometre stretch of the sub-Saharan desert. The lithophones play two notes, the pitch depending on their size. However, archaeologists fear they could be damaged, so after shining in a string of concerts, the stones are now stepping back from their musical career, returning to retirement in the safety of the Natural History Museum's shelves.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much to Sheila Raman for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to you also for tuning in. Just a quick reminder, Sheila's new album is called Queen Between, and you can catch her in concert here in Paris on the 9th of April at the New Morning. Now, before we go, we have a special treat for you. Sheila is going to sing us part of the song Queen Between to end the show.
You may be queen of whatever may come or may never have been. You made my dream, oh queen between. Some climb, some descend, never reach the stairway's end. I've risen here and I've fallen there into clouds and became the rain. Who charms the rain? Yea, who charms the rain and reigns unseen, the queen between, who charms the rain and reigns unseen, the queen between, Ooh.